Hello, this module is about coordination and working together. And I wrote these comments some time ago to share the fact that MDS, Mennonite Disaster Service volunteers, do not work alone because we work shoulder to shoulder with volunteer organizations that are active in disaster. Thus, an organization was founded 50 years ago in response to challenges many disaster organizations experience following Hurricane Camille. That was a Category 5 storm that hit the Gulf Coast in 1969. Since then, this organization came together called National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster, or NVOAD. Up until that time, numerous government, private sector, and nonprofit organizations served disaster survivors independently of one another. So as a result, help came to survivors haphazardly. But in 1970, 7 national disaster response organizations convened, to which MDS Service was one of those members. These organizations convened to find a better way to coordinate responses and more effectively serve disaster survivors and their communities. Today, National VOAD is now a robust association of organizations that mitigate and alleviate the impact of disasters. It provides a form of promoting what we call the 4 C's of cooperation, communication, coordination, and collaboration. And so practicing these 4 C's, it fosters more effective delivery of services to the communities affected by disaster. At last count, there are 78 national organizations and 56 state and territory partners. And VOAD is blessed with the government partners such as FEMA and foundation partners such as UPS, nonprofit groups, and others as well, including academic and association partners. In any given disaster, what might the interaction of these entities look like? What might it sound like? So I've taken the liberty to cut and paste incidents, conversations, and various involvements over my 22 years with MDS and National VOAD for the following. Say you had a major disaster in any town, USA. Yes, the state requests assistance from the federal government through FEMA, and public assistance and individual assistance are declared. Well, the folks in search and rescue phase, they responded amazingly very well, and in no matter of time, the Red Cross and Salvation Army are on the ground with sheltering and feeding. You can hear the lids on the coffee pot bouncing as the coffee comes to boil while the peas are being heated in the hissing of the steam-jacketed kettle. Communications were wiped out the first few days, and the American Radio Relay League was helping to get the message out of what the shortfalls were until Verizon and AT&T and other carriers got their temporary systems installed. The sounds of silence during a disaster are just haunting. Or that miserable message on your phone, you cannot call. Your call cannot be completed as dialed. Please check the number and try again. Or there is no sound because your phone battery is dead. Off to the side of town, the Southern Baptist, the Yellow Shirts, had their camp set up with additional cooking of hot meals. The common engines and the generators are humming along, cranking out precious voltage. North of town, you have Operation Barbecue Relief, filling the valley with the wonderful smell of barbecue smoke and laughter as the chicken thighs are hissing over the charcoal. Above the occasional wail of the ambulance or beating of the helicopters were the sounds of chainsaws of Team Rubicon and the pounding of nails on the roof by Samaritan's Purse volunteers tarping, trying to feverishly get ahead of the next day's rain forecast. Oh, the sounds of disaster. Downtown at the old YMCA, a multi-agency resource center, MARC, has been set up. From a distance, it looks like a state fair until you arrive and enter. There is minimal laughter or jubilation. Instead, there is the hallowed hush of conversation with the disaster survivors. Bringing a sound of joy at one end, thanks to Brethren Disaster Ministries, a child care center is set up while the disaster survivors make their way down the line of table after table, offering assistance, driver's license, WIC support, and place to register for FEMA. The Church of Scientology might offer a massage, while the children hug on a golden doodle. They're handled by Hope Animal Crisis Response. In fact, a 3-year-old shrieks with joy as the dog receives their hugs. Oh, the sounds of a disaster. Across town at the old Walmart store, the beeping of forklifts is steady as Adventist Community Services unload the pallets of water. Flood buckets from Church World Service brought in by Convoy of Hope and Operation Blessing. Down at the First Presbyterian Church, Pastor Jim of Presbyterian Disaster Assistance is making calls back to Louisville and coordinating a volunteer center to be set up. Workers are pounding on the stakes to set up a large tent for volunteer reception center. On the east side of town, the manager at Lowe's released $5,000 worth of those famous blue buckets filled with hammers, nails, and bags. N95 masks as the store employees excitedly load the delivery truck. They are delighted to be part of the local disaster. Oh, the sounds of a disaster. In the nearby state, Kathy is busy working the phone back in her office for Allen, American Logistics Aid Network, trying to get a truckload of wheelchairs brought in thanks to UPS. Not to be outdone, FedEx is sending in a dozen incubators by air, coordinated by International Medical Corps. Let's not forget the state VOAD. That's the real engine of the ship. The relationships are strong since they meet bi-monthly. The Long-Term Recovery Committee, ironically, just had their last meeting 6 months ago from a smaller disaster 2 counties over. They dusted off their files and got back to work. The state Val, God bless her, she returned, canceling the remainder of her vacation and rolled up her sleeves. Case management organizations such as St. Vincent de Paul, United Methodist, Salvation Army, and Catholic Charities agreed to respond jointly by training some local case managers and arrange for some recovery organizations to come in and do some rapid repairs as signposts of hope, while more thorough case management gets in place. Time moves on. For many, life is marked as before the disaster and after the disaster. For some, recovery is slow. For others, they wish life would go back to normal. But daily, there are incidents for survivors to be reminded of their loss. An elderly disaster survivor misses his rooster crowing in the morning, swept away by the disaster. His wife misses the loss of their grandfather clock that chimes every 15 minutes. Days and weeks pass. The Long-Term Recovery Committee, through their Unmet Needs Committee, presents some clients that need help to repair their ramp to their home. Another client needs a complete rebuild. And then those joyful sounds of resiliency begin. It is what I call the hammer-ringing hope, the sounds of hammers and construction tools. Oh, the sounds of a disaster. Oh, the sounds of collaboration, cooperation, communication, and coordination. Thanks be to God.